His Imperial Skill by Jessica Schneider. Chapter excerpt firsts. One is not always able to recall the last of anything. One's last speech, last movement, last meal. All are eradicated if no one is watching. They might exist somewhere, but only if there is consequence. What were the woman's last syllables before dying? Were there any ears to catch them? If not, do they exist somewhere? The firsts are much easier to center in a sort of context. First steps, first love, first words, first moment to witness an event. For me, this is just how it went. I remember the first and how badly it felt and how little I slept as a result. I can't really speak more than that, but I will relay some of what I can, minus the emotion. That happens later. I wish I could have remained hidden from the eyes of the earth, and have nothing notice me, or to go immaterial, exist without consequence. The world had become fragmented and predatory. Why the obsession with bone structure and the shapes of eyes and shades of skin? Were there ever a mutilation of my body? It would only be a body, right? What about what resides within? A living heart, rhythmically rife with ambition and rhythm. Just where was a person? I used to think evil as something people act like, as in people who act evil. But now I am not so sure. I think it is something partly innate and partly trained, but rather it is evil that acts like people, not the other way around. Cruelty can take on different forms, physical shapes as in that of a person. Men wanted women's bodies, and scientists were no different. People had transformed into monsters, no longer recognizable as people and utterly pitiable. The scientists had transformed into the same, albeit in a different way. Strangers could slip into non-face. No family, no friends, no enemies even. I slipped on my protective gear and became no one. With my face hidden, my distance exists without apology. I suffer no consequence, as neither do the others around me. Instead, we thrive. Had evil become in me? What is one but not the sum of his surrounds? On certain afternoons I was sent to help Tamura with the delivery. Trucks approached the compound and their doors opened. I had to be there as more than mere witness. I had to help assist, and this included more than just the checking off of names on a list. Bundles arrived and they appeared similar to the sketch I had seen. We arrived with flatbed carts and took the packages that were wrapped in straw, and within were two living humans bound head to foot. Their arms and ankles tied, they remained inert, save for the few living sounds their throats managed to emit. I am certain they were tired, thirsty, and uncomfortable. Some of them bled. But I found it best not to think about it. My job was to assign numbers to them, and then someone else would take them down into the basement boarding area. I had yet to see where this was, and for that I was relieved. I was just doing what I had been instructed to do, and nothing more. Rather, I mused over the oddities around me. Well, that is a polite way of putting it. Occasionally a scream would erupt from one of the bundles, but some are known to scream when stepping on a pebble. Much of it is just curiosity, some said. Did the knowledge gained justify it? To sew up orifices that should not be, to reattach that which should not be, to insert, to burn, to compress, to freeze all that should not be, to make a mutant out of them, us, me. Was that not cruelty? I still escaped from my walks whenever I could, and at one point, while sitting and thinking in the garden, my eye caught sight of a large spider. It was large by my standards, anyway, since I did not like spiders. Even the tiniest of creatures is enough to invade my space. It wasn't ugly, but owned a multicolored abdomen of greens and blues. The spider had more freedom than those around me. I envied it for its grotesque beauty, and it was much nicer than any man could be. The natural peace of trees, the peace of stone. Nothing could disrupt it, save for the press of my shoe, should I choose. I was not about to commit this heinous act, but seeing the spider got me thinking. Most humans hated arthropods because they did not resemble us. Who weeps over the death of spiders? A soldier might witness one hidden within the thickness of the woods, and know that the spider owns a greater chance of living over that of the soldier. Perhaps the soldier cannot handle this, and so he reaches and takes the spider into his palm and crushes its once graceful form to a pulp, not wanting this beast to hold any advantage over him. I watched the spider for a long while, and throughout that time it did not move much. Fixated upon a rock, that was it. 8 legs, dainty and thin, ever slightly pressing against the solidness of stone. Perhaps it waited for me to make the first move. Yes, that's what it wanted, since the life of a spider can consist of sitting around on a rock all day and yet still appear productive. No one judges it for its ethics, its ideals. The spider simply does. And so I was right. In reaching for a small stone, I tossed it into the direction of the creature of complacence, and nothing, not even a single leg of 8, moved. Then I upped myself and extended my shoe too close for its own comfort. I tapped the stone several times, and this vibration was enough to cause a physical surge of motion on its behalf, and in an instant it had scurried beneath the stone from where it came. Now I was alone, but still I moved first. It moved last. I had been right. My new position put me on a restricted schedule, so my time outdoors could only be momentary. I had been instructed to go inside and assist. As to what I'd be assisting, I did not know yet, since I was still somewhat in training when it came to performing a variety of tasks. What amazed me was the sheer separation of place. What existed somewhere did not in another. Not only did it not exist, but it became totally eradicated whenever entering this separation. No one spoke of it. The different levels existed as their own entities, and the multiple cosmos living in each remained uncrossed. Mostly the doctors passed through them, the scientists, sterilizing their exteriors as a means of ridding their physical contamination. Yet mentally the corrosion still thrived. I knew at this very moment people were traveling on buses and planes, visiting galleries or transporting themselves on a train, while elsewhere some prisoner digs into stone, lifting and laying down steel for a railroad he will receive no benefit from. Beneath the world's watchful eye, the moon and a few tossed stars. What to do with such a surface when air raids ignite the sky? Look up, and one will see the enemy. Though they appear as fireflies from above, illuminating and electric in their glow, yet below is a whole other experience entirely. Fires erupting in their roar where buildings and earth collide, as men and women are indistinguishable through their burns, and many too tired to cry.